Sunny arrives at Kelly's to see Carly and asks about on her visit to Pentonville. She assumes he spoke with Dex, who she saw there, and asks what he wants to know. He asks if he saw Austin, and if he was with anyone. She did see him, and says he was headed to the infirmary with his doctor's bag, so he likely was seeing a patient. Sunny asks about Drew, and Carly reveals he was thrown into solitary for protecting Cyrus. Sunny doesn't know why he'd want to protect that guy. Carly is worried that Cyrus' enemies will target Drew. Sunny tells her not to worry about Brook. He's been given the message to stay away from Drew. Carly realizes that's why Dex was there. Sunny decides to run but asks her to let him know if she learns anything more about Austin. He says the guy gets under his skin. In her office at GH, Portia looks at her wedding photo to Curtis. Ava stops by with coffee and wants to know if there is anything she can do. Portia knows Trina opens up to Ava and asks how she is doing. Ava says she is holding it together and Spencer has been there for Trina. Portia rants about Spencer and the Cassadines, but Ava feels she needs to give Spencer a chance for Trina's sake. Portia hates to admit it, but she's right. Ava says Spencer has been good to Trina. Ava asks when Curtis is coming home. Portia admits she doesn't know when or if he will, as she doesn't know where they stand. She explains the past few times she visited him. It's been tense, and he shuts her out. She knows Curtis is proud, and she thinks he doesn't want her to see him in a wheelchair. She has made it clear she doesn't love him any less. Hand is in this with him, but he just keeps pulling away even further. Portia just doesn't know what else she can do. Ava suggests Curtis knows he needs her support, but maybe he just doesn't want the guilt that comes with it, as he may look at it as her giving up her life for him. Portia says she wouldn't be giving up anything, and marriage is about in sickness and in health. Ava thinks that's what she needs to tell him until he hears her. Ava decides to leave Portia to think things over. At the rehab facility, Brent the PT praises Curtis for the progress he's made. Jordan shows up and watches Curtis giving it his all. Jordan enters, and Curtis introduces them. Brent takes a break, and Jordan explains she comes with news. She informs him that someone burnt down Anna's house. Jordan sits down and fills Curtis in on what they know about the fire. This arsonist didn't want to kill Anna, but instead to send a message. Curtis suspects the shooting may have just been a message, and nobody was supposed to be hit either. After Jordan leaves, Brent returns and tells Curtis how nice his ex is, especially to look at. He is also glad to see him having visitors. Brent has to check in with his supervisor and exits. His next patient arrives, a man with prosthetic legs, and Curtis watches him walk on a treadmill. Curtis wonders if he'll ever get that far. The man tells him that if he keeps comparing himself to other disabled people, he won't get far at all. He suggests Curtis live his life to the best of his ability, which is what he does. At the gallery, Spencer admits to Trina he hasn't thought about what the future holds. He says taking care of a baby takes up a lot of his time and wishes he could give her a simple or straightforward answer. Trina says that's the problem. There is no simple or straightforward answer. Spencer says he needs to make sure his brother never feels abandoned, just like he was abandoned by his father. He vents about how when other kids had parents to tuck them in, his best friend was Chandler, the family chauffeur. He longed to be part of a real family, and then his father abandoned him like he abandoned Ace. He wishes he knew where he was, and part of him wants to believe he was forced out of Port Charles. Trina says Victor could have done something to him, but Spencer knows he left them, just like when he faked his death before. Trina doesn't buy it and knows Spencer has told her happy stories about his dad, so she knows he cares about him. He admits he does love his father, and thanks her for talking him down as usual. Trina says hopefully they'll know more about what happened to his father when his grandma and Kevin return. Spencer suggests they get to work, and he can help her hang paintings. Just then, Esme texts Spencer to ask if he's coming home for dinner. Compounding the situation, Portia enters with a large bag and yells, "Surprise!" She brought dinner for Trina, so Spencer cuts out and let them have time together. Portia tells Trina she didn't mean to spoil her night. She just wanted to celebrate her being back at the gallery. Trina thanks her and knows she probably needed a distraction from Curtis as well. Portia says Stella's staying in town to help, and Marshall's taking over the Savoy for the time being. Trina asks if she went to visit Curtis today.